Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Happy New Year, happy 2023. This is my first episode of 2023 and we're just gonna jump and dive right in. So if you guys are not aware, if you've been living under a rock, which I presume with any type of social media or any type of technology you have not, Damar Hamlin was in a horrific accident this past Monday at the Bengals Stadium against the Bills. He went into cardiac arrest on the field. The ambulance had to come on the field. He was loaded up and taken to Cincinnati's hospital downtown. And as of 24 hours ago, he was extubated, which means his breathing tube was taken out, and he was able to speak and talk to his team in Buffalo. So I kind of just, more than anything, want to just talk about the landscape of the NFL, how we reacted in terms of we the public, how social media reacted, was it valid, do they have a point? A lot of people were talking about, was the NFL really, was it horrible how they handled the situation in terms of taking too long to let the public know, let the teams know that the game was canceled and they weren't going to play anymore. I just kind of want to dive into the Damar Hamlin accident that happened, because I think there's a lot of different angles that were talked about this week that has passed. So we're just going to talk about Damar Hamlin. First of all, I just want to say shout out to the first responders who were able to get on the field and use the defibrillator to resuscitate his heart. I read up on an article that on the way to the hospital, his heart had to be resuscitated again. But the fact that the first responders were able to get there and do what they do under stress, under pressure, and execute it flawlessly, and the fact that I'm saying flawlessly is because they saved his life. And not only did they save his life, but with the fact that Damar Hamlin is able to wake up, know who he is, be able to move his extremities, that hopefully is an indicator or a signal that his quality of life won't be diminished. Because you can, let's just say, because this does happen to people, they get resuscitated, but the brain is without oxygen for so long that they're brain dead. They are alive, but their brain has no function. So it really speaks to the lack of quality of life somebody is going to have if the brain goes without oxygen, but they're able to be revived and saved, and they're hooked up to a machine for the rest of their life. So for me, it was a two-part thing, because like I said, it's one thing to have your heart resuscitated and to be able to, walk around and use your extremities and have the quality of life that you had prior to the accident. It's a whole nother thing to have the accident and to be deprived of oxygen for so long that even though your heart's resuscitated, you have nowhere near the quality of life that you would have had previously. So again, shouts out to the first responders for being able to do what you guys did with the television and the screens and the fans and the football players and all of these different outlets that were watching and staring at you and really determining whether or not this man's life was going to be saved that day. So shouts out to you guys. You guys did an amazing job. Damar Hamlin, from what I've heard, everybody has really liked this guy. I guess he had a GoFundMe, his goal for a toy drive. It's called Chasing M's up in Buffalo. His goal was for $2,500 for a kid's toy drive. As of yesterday, it has raised over $6 million, and it's steadily climbing. For everybody that has donated, for everybody that has given money, for everybody that has told somebody to give money, shouts out to you guys. Shouts out to Damar for creating this and for wanting to give back, because I mean, it's one thing to be able to making the kind of money that football players make, but to be able to really want to make a difference and share that for the unfortunate reality that there are so many people out there who don't have much of anything, and for Damar Hamlin to want to give back, hats off to you. Seriously, that's awesome. Especially with it being so close to Christmas, and well, it was close to Christmas 2 months ago, and wanting to give to kids who don't have much. I think it just speaks to the character of a person, even though I don't know anything about Damar Hamlin or know him from a can of paint. That's awesome. So thanks for everybody who shout out to showing that showing that the humans still have their humanity. That's awesome. Okay, so this is where I want to get into like the meat and potatoes of my video. I swear, do people from like the West Coast say meat and potatoes, or is that like a Midwest thing? I don't know. Anyway, the NFL got a lot of pushback, got a lot of negative press with social media, with how the public felt like the NFL handled the Damar Hamlin injury accident on the field. A lot of people were saying that the NFL didn't take time fast enough to cancel the game, that they weren't concerned with how serious it was. It's just bottom line, at the end of the day, they're concerned about money, money, money. I don't know if that's the case. For a lot of people who may not have researched or done research, this type of incident doesn't really happen that often. And yes, I know football is a dangerous sport. I think most sports are dangerous, but I understand there is an element of a different type of physical danger that you're putting your body in every single play. The potential to be in a career-ending injury, or the potential to be in a life-ending injury, it's certainly heightened in the game of football, and I don't think anybody is disagreeing with that. But I think statistics speak to the fact of how often it doesn't happen, though. So when I was looking up some of the hits that have caused career-ending or life-ending seasons, one of the first things that I go back to is Ryan Shazier. This also happened when the game was being played at Paycor Stadium in Cincinnati. Ryan Shazier was playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he had a spinal injury that ended his career. It is a miracle that he was able to walk again. This happened in 2017, and he had to have spinal surgery. He had to have months of physical therapy, if not years. Obviously, he was not playing football again, but Ryan Shazier is also not dead. So I was doing some research in terms of, has there been any deaths? And a man by the name of Chuck Hughes died in 1971. He was hit in a football play, and he ended up passing out on the field, and he ended up dying on the field as well. However, looking at what his cause of death was, it says that he had a coronary thrombosis. That was his actual cause of death. They also said one of his arteries was 75% blocked, which led to the heart not being pumped enough oxygen or enough blood. So in terms of, did football cause his injury? It may have helped it in terms of how much physical activity he was getting, and in terms of his heart not getting enough blood pumped to his or oxygen pumped to his blood, to his heart. But the hit itself, the football hit itself did not cause him to die. He did die on the field after a hit. But I think it also speaks to the fact that football has been villainized for so long in terms of how dangerous of a sport it is. And again, I'm not discrediting that, but I am also saying in the world of statistics and numbers, football has a point in terms of most people don't die in the game of football. In my lifetime, I wasn't even born in 1971. In my lifetime, I'm not talking about concussions. We all know concussions happen. But in my lifetime, this is the first incident with Damar Hamlin that I have been around for when it comes to the repercussions of football. And to be honest, when I was looking up what happened with Damar Hamlin, first of all, he was the one doing the tackling. So it wasn't even like somebody hit him. He was doing the hitting. And the research has come out and shown that this specific hit wasn't even that hard. Now, obviously, they're playing professional football, so it is a hard hit. But the hit that Ryan Shazier took was way harder than the one that Damar Hamlin took. Damar Hamlin's accident happened because it was almost like a perfect storm. Everything lined up that was supposed to happen at the exact same moment, at the exact same time. His body was leaning in the right direction. His heart was pumping in a rhythm that when it beat, that's when he was hit. And it was hit he was running at a speed that was fast enough to where it made an impact on his heart. It's just so many things had to happen at the exact right same moment, the exact right same time for this to have taken place. And so I don't want to sit here and blame football or shun football or, allow this negativity to cloud my judgment of football, because Ryan Shazier's hit against the Bengals was a way harder hit than Damar Hamlin. It just was. And Ryan Shazier's hit, like I just said, it was career ending. But Damar Hamlin's hit that damn near killed him was not anywhere near as hard as Ryan Shazier's hit. And so, it's just, there's risk involved when you play football. It really, really is. And it's not anything that anybody doesn't know. All of these men that have the God-given talent and the perseverance to play football, they've all said if they had the opportunity, if they got hurt and they had the opportunity to do it again, they would. Ryan Shazier, not one of the first things he said, but he was asked in multiple interviews following his accident, knowing what he had to go through to be able to walk again, would he do it all again? Would he play football? Would he risk it all again? And he said absolutely. And it's just like, football is dangerous, but gymnastics is dangerous, and softball is dangerous. The softball players and soccer players, there's a very high risk. Professional baseball players, there's a very high risk that with the baseball players and the softball players pitching as fast as they do, that a line ball drive is going to hit him in the heart and do the exact same thing that happened to Damar Hamlin. It just comes with sports. There's a level of risk that'll never be taken out of the game. You can't vilify the game because there's a level of risks to it. That's ridiculous. The coaches handled this as best they possibly could. I know people talk about you plan on what you have to do if something would happen, but until it actually happens, until you're able to execute, until you're able to see what is really gonna happen when things go down like this happened on Monday, plan is just it. It's just a plan. There's no way to see the ins and outs of what's bad until it's put to action. So I feel like in this age of social media, there's a lot of risk of negative public perception. There's a lot of risk of getting canceled. There's a lot of risk of having people develop negative opinions about you. And I think all of this was at stake, unfortunately so. That should not have been what the public was concentrating on. But unfortunately, that is the reality with social media. I think that the coaches, Zach Taylor and Sean McDermott, really, were there for their players, had their players' backs. There was possible, thought of whether or not the game should go on. And after, looking at Josh Allen, in shock and disbelief, and Stephon Diggs with tears running down his throat, and all these players huddled around each other. I even heard Joe Burrow led the team into the Bills locker room to offer prayers and what they could do to support the Bills in their time of shock and need, and which is super freaking classy, Joe. But Sean McDermott and Zach Taylor, good for you for really having your players back. You just don't know what you're going to do in this situation. And no one knew that it was a life-threatening injury like that. When Damar Hamlin went down, I think a lot of people just thought it was but I think a lot of people thought it was a neck injury or a spinal injury. When Ryan Shazier got hit and he was carted off the field, the game still played and the game still continued. So like I said, with social media having such a presence in 2022, 2023, in this last decade, there's a lot of pressure in terms of public opinion to make sure you get it right. And there was just a lot going on, and I think Sean McDermott and Zach Taylor really did get it right. After looking at these players around, there was no way that these players were going to be able to finish this game. And for the game to be canceled, that was the right thing to do. For the head coaches to listen to their players and be like, we don't want to play. We're not playing. I think it's had Damar Hamlin been escorted off the field with an ambulance and the team had gotten word that he was awake and he was speaking at the hospital, then I think, maybe the players would have reconvened and said, maybe we'll play this out. But with him being the way he was, and he was really fighting for his life still, his heart had to be resuscitated en route to the hospital. So the coaches got it right. The network got it right. It took some time. Oh well, that's just what happens in a crisis. You do the next best thing that you possibly can. And Damar Hamlin, what a hell of a way to start off 2023, right? Jesus. He is speaking now, and Damar Hamlin, I hope, on your road to recovery, you just take your time and you focus on you and your family. The NFL will always be here. But what a crazy way to start off the 2023. What a crazy way to end Monday Night Football. Wow, I was going to come on here and talk about how trash Stetson Bennett was against Ohio State. I was going to really be my first episode because he had a garbage game against Ohio State. But I may hit on that next week for next Sunday's episode, depending on what crazy things happen tomorrow with the NFL playing in its last Sunday of the regular season. So, but we'll see. Stetson Bennett, dude, Ohio State had you guys. They had you. And I don't even like Ohio State. I am a full-blown Michigan fan. Feel so bad for you, Jim. Like, what the hell, dude? You let TCU just waltz all over you? Like, okay. I was so hurt by that. But TCU and Georgia in the final bowl game of the year, the FCS game. So, oh, man. Come on, Ohio State. You had Georgia. All right, guys. It was great. See you guys in the next episode. Bye.